Good morning, sixth graders. Happy Tuesday. We have already covered this slide in our Zoom today, but if you were absent, that's what you missed. Today's announcements. Today is, shoot, it never goes down on the first one. Okay. Today is October 27th. Happy birthday, Maddie. I'm sure we've already said happy birthday to you, but happy birthday again. Today is Beach or Hawaiian Day. It's cold at my house right now. I'm still not wearing those clothes, but I'll probably put something on before we meet for our Zoom today. Okay, so tomorrow is baking day. Okay, so that's awesome. Tomorrow is baking day. Today is Beach and Hawaiian Day. Friday is the town hall at 6 p.m. on Zoom. The link is in Google Classroom. That's where you can ask any questions you want about going back to school to Mr. Brown, Mrs. Allison, and Mr. Chandler. Also, if you want to submit pictures for the yearbook, you can do that there. All right. Social studies, we did all of this in class today. So if you were absent, today you're going to be working on, I think we're a day behind. So today it says we're supposed to be working on slides 9 and 10, but I think what we're going to do is if you haven't done 8 yet, do 8 and 9, and we will do 10 and 11 tomorrow because we missed that one day when my internet was down. Okay, so that's that. You just have to be finished with up to slide 11 by Wednesday tomorrow. Okay, so these are our jobs today. Again, we have already talked about those and we've gone over all those. You can look them back up in the slide deck if you are curious. Okay, our book talk today is Deep, Dark, and Dangerous by Mary Downing Hahn. So this is found in the mystery section of our classroom library, which I cannot wait to share with you guys. It is a ghost story. So remember, you probably don't, but this is a long time ago. But when we talked about mystery, there's lots of different kinds of mystery. There's suspense, there's ghost stories, there's horror, and this is kind of in the ghost story section. And Mary Downing Hahn has a lot of books, and they're all ghost stories. So if you like ghost stories, then you might really like hers. This is one that I've read. I've not read all of them. I've read a few, and it's about a girl who goes on vacation to a lake house and meets this really weird girl, and there's all these things that are coming, like clues that are coming to be, and she feels a little trapped at the lake house and just what occurs there and what she discovers. All right, so today looking at our planner, we are reading Daedalus and Icarus for our second read together. And today we're really listening for the events in the plot. We were doing that yesterday, but we are more so today, especially how the author establishes the exposition. And remember, the exposition is when we first learn about the characters, the setting of the story, and the conflict. So it just kind of sets the story up. It's the beginning of the story. Okay, so that's that. Oh no, okay, I did not put in the rest of these slides. Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that, guys, although you might not have noticed because I just pushed pause. Okay, so we're continuing reading with Daedalus and Icarus. And we're doing the second read today. So as we reread the myth together, remember I read, you follow along, you're going to think about the questions below. So what event creates conflict in the story? Okay, what event really makes the story a problem? What is Daedalus's response to the conflict? Okay, so that's one question you're going to think about. What elements of the story are characteristics of a myth? Okay, so back in the beginning of the year, we talked a lot about different genres and characteristics of specific genres. So what are characteristics of a myth? And we did not study that one, but what do you think are characteristics of a myth? And then what inference can you make based on paragraphs 34 and 35? So when we get to those, you might want to think about that. So as we read, you might want to keep this slide up so that you can kind of refer to it as we go back, okay? I'm going to take a drink, and then I'm going to start reading Daedalus and Icarus from Greek Myths by Geraldine McCraughton. All right. Here we go. Okay, I am on page 58 in our Springboard books. The island of Crete was ruled by King Minos, whose reputation for wickedness had spread to every shore. One day he summoned to his country a famous inventor named Daedalus. "Come, Daedalus, and bring your son Icarus too. I have a job for you, and I pay well." King Minos wanted Daedalus to build him a palace with soaring towers and a high curving roof. In the cellars there was to be a maze of many corridors, so twisting and dark that any man who once ventured in there would never find his way out again. "What is it for?" asked Daedalus. "Is it a treasure vault? Is it a prison to hold criminals?" But Minos only replied, "Build my labyrinth, as I told you. I pay you to build, not ask questions." So Daedalus held his tongue and set to work. When the palace was finished, he looked at it with pride, for there was nowhere in the world so fine. But when he found out the purpose of the maze in the cellar, he shuddered with horror. For at the heart of the maze, King Minos put a creature that was half man, half beast, a thing almost too horrible to describe. He called it the Minotaur, and he fed it on men and women. Then Daedalus wanted to leave Crete at once and forget both maze and Minotaur. So he went to King Minos to ask for his money. "I regret," said King Minos. "I cannot let you leave Crete, Daedalus. You are the only man who knows the secret of the maze and how to escape from it. The secret must never leave this island. So I'm afraid I must keep you and Icarus here a while longer." "How much longer?" gasped Daedalus. "Oh, just until you die," replied Minos cheerfully. "But never mind." Excuse me. "I have plenty of work for a man as clever as you." Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Daedalus continued, and Icarus lived in great comfort in King Minos' palace, but they led the life of prisoners. Their rooms were in the tallest palace tower, with beautiful views across the island. They ate delectable food and wore expensive clothes. But at night, the door of their fine apartment was locked, and a guard stood outside. It was a comfortable prison, but it was a prison even so. Daedalus was deeply unhappy. Every day he put seed out on the windowsill for the birds. He liked to study their brilliant colors, their clever overlapping of their feathers, the way they soared on the sea wind. It comforted him to think that they at least were free to come and go. The birds had only to spread their wings, and they could leave Crete behind them, whereas Daedalus and Icarus must stay forever in their luxurious cage. Young Icarus could not understand his father's unhappiness. "But I like it here," he said. "The king gives us gold and this tower to live in." Daedalus groaned. "But to work for such a wicked man, Icarus, and to be prisoners all of our days. We shan't stay. We shan't." "But how can we can't get away, can we?" said Icarus. "How can anybody escape from an island? Fly?" He snorted with laughter. Daedalus did not answer. He scratched his head and stared out the window at the birds pecking seed on the sill. From that day onward, he got up early each morning and stood at the open window. When a bird came for the seed, Daedalus begged it to spare him one feather. Then, each night, when everyone else had gone to bed, Daedalus worked by candlelight on his greatest invention of all. Early mornings, late nights, a whole year went by. Then one morning, Icarus was awakened by his father shaking his shoulder. "Get up, Icarus, and don't make a sound. We are leaving Crete." "But how? It's impossible." Daedalus pulled out a bundle from under his bed. "I've been making something, Icarus." Inside were 4 great folded fans of feathers. He stretched them out on the bed. They were wings. "I sewed the feathers together with strands of wool from my blanket. Now hold still." Daedalus melted down a candle and daubed his son's shoulders with sticky wax. Yes, I know it's hot, but it will soon cool. While the wax was still soft, he stuck 2 of the wings to Icarus's shoulder blades. Now you must help me put on my wings, son. When the wax sets hard, you and I will fly away from here, as free as birds. I'm scared, whispered Icarus as he stood on the narrow window ledge, his knees knocking and his huge wings drooping down behind. The lawns and courtyards of the palace lay far below. The royal guards looked as small as ants. This won't work. Courage, son, said Daedalus. Keep your arms out wide and fly close to me. Above all, are you listening, Icarus? Yes, father. Above all, don't fly too high. Don't fly too close to the sun. Don't fly too close to the sun, Icarus repeated, with his eyes tight shut. Then he gave a cry as his father nudged him off the windowsill. He plunged downward. With a crack, the feathers behind him filled with wind, and Icarus found himself flying. Flying! I'm flying, he crowed. The guards looked up in astonishment and wagged their swords and pointed and shouted, Tell the king! Daedalus and Icarus are flying away. By dipping first one wing, excuse me, sorry. Okay. Icarus found that he could turn to the left and the right. The wind tugged at his hair. His legs trailed out behind him. He saw the fields and streams as he had never seen them before. Then they were out over the sea. The seagulls pecked at him angrily, so Icarus flew higher where they could not reach him. He copied their shrill cry and taunted them. You can't catch me. Now remember, don't fly too high, cried Daedalus, but his words were drowned by the screaming of the gulls. I'm the first boy ever to fly. I'm making history. I shall be famous, thought Icarus as he flew up and up, higher and higher. At last Icarus was looking the sun itself in the face. Think you're the highest thing in the sky, do you? He jeered. I can fly just as high as you. Higher even. He did not notice the drops of sweat on his forehead. He was so determined to outfly the sun. Soon its vast heat beat on his face and on his back, and the great wings and on the great wings stuck on with wax. The wax softened, the wax trickled, the wax dripped. One feather came unstuck, then a plume of feathers fluttered slowly down. Icarus stopped flapping his wings. His father's words came back to him clearly now. Don't fly too close to the sun. With a great sucking noise, the wax on his shoulders came unstuck. Icarus tried to catch hold of the wings, but they just folded up in his hands. He plunged down, his two fists full of feathers, down and down and down. The clouds did not stop his fall. The seagulls did not catch him in their beaks. His own father could only watch as Icarus hurtled headfirst into the glittering sea and sank down, deep down, among the sharks and eels and squid. And all that was left of proud Icarus was a litter of waxy feathers floating on the sea. Okay, so you were thinking about the questions below. Now you're going to spend 2 minutes writing your thoughts in response to the questions you were thinking about during your second read, and that's 2 minutes each. Okay, so go ahead and get out your notebooks. You can push pause on me really quick. I'm going to set a timer and give you 2 minutes for each of the questions. If, when we're done today, you want to go back and add a little to the questions, you can do that. Okay, so I'm going to read you the question. I'm going to set my timer for 2 minutes, and then I'll tell you to stop. Okay, and then we'll go to the next one. So the first question, and again, if you don't have your notebook and you're not ready, push pause here. and then get ready and then come back, okay? So the first question, what event creates a conflict in the story? What is Daedalus's response to the conflict? So go ahead and start. All right, so that is the first one, the end of it. Okay, so like I said, if you want to leave some space and go back and add to that later, you can. The next one, what elements of the story are characteristics of a myth? So how do you know it's a myth? If you were just reading, you just picked up your book one day, read this story, like what would tell you that it was a myth? Again, 2 minutes, go ahead. All right, guys. Then the third question, and again, if you need more time, push pause. What inferences can you make based on paragraphs 34 and 35? So again, go ahead and start. And just to let you know, start in a second. We're going to discuss your quick writes in class tomorrow. So go ahead. All right. Okay, so that is that. Again, we are going to discuss these tomorrow. If you want to take a little more time and work on them a little bit more, that is fine. But for now, that's it. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.